I'm sure. So today, what I want to talk about is calligraphy. You have your own calligraphy account, Shodo. I'll link the Instagram account in the description below. So I asked you, are they related? Shodo or Japanese calligraphy and Judo, are they related? You said yes. So thank you for coming today and really explaining this to us. So I see you holding the calligraphy pen. Yes.
You see it?
So yes, we see. So I was watching a little bit about Shodo before we come and talk together. I saw this on the ANA Global episode. It was about Shodo. There was this master called, I believe, Koji, and he was talking about doing a lot of repetition of kanji, repetitions, but at the same time creating your own expression. And that really reminded me about Judo. We do a lot of uchikomi, nagekomi that looks very repetitive, almost like a machine. But at the end of the day, when we do randori, when we do like moving nagekomi, everyone has their own expression. It's truly an art because it's not like a machine. Everyone expresses differently. For example, if I do ippon sayonage and you do it, it's gonna look completely different. So in terms of technique, are they very much the same in terms of practice?
Yeah, I guess so. This is exactly I wanted to say though, like making uchikomi is like to repetition of making the same moves on the calligraphy moves too, and actually in calligraphy we don't they don't just have komi and randori, but we have also uchikomi. It's not called, actually, probably not called uchikomi, but just we also say keiko because it's Japanese culture and we call the same. In judo, we also say keiko. That's why we call the judogi for as a keikogi, right? Keikogi and shiai-gi. Shiai-gi is for the gi for competition, and keikogi is for the gi for practice. And we also do keiko. Keiko, it means it's just a practices. And Shodo is also with the do, as like judo. Judo and Shodo, the way to improve yourself physically and mentally. The way to practice of calligraphy is really interesting, just repeating. But in this same movements, at the same repeating, with the same techniques, you have to find something new, something very detailed, small things new. In judo, I think the same.
Yes.
In the basic movements which you got taught by your sensei, you just repeat at the first, okay, here for uchimata here, and second step, and raise your leg and throw. At the first, just it looks very simple, and it looks just, in terms, when it comes to doing the same moves, it actually figures out that it's actually difficult. But if you are used to these difficult moves, just you're gonna find some new moves by yourself, and you're gonna make your new uchimata just original. Shadi uchimata, Kotaro uchimata, or Inoue Sensei's uchimata,
right?
Something like that. So.
Okay, so it's a lot of repetition of the basics and then adding your own expression. Okay, yes. So you said something about an expression that's talking about Budo and calligraphy, and you have to practice. What can you repeat that?
Sure. We have a saying in Japanese and probably in Chinese language also. They have the same saying because it's with the same kanji. Kanji is the letters which is looking the most complicated letters in Japanese and Chinese languages. And it said bun, bu, ryo, do. It's with the 4 letters. And bun, it means being in study or writing something. It's bun. And Bu, the second one, is Budo's Bu. So it's about martial arts or to fight.
Yes.
So it's all about the ability, your own ability to fight and to win at the war. And the last two letters, Gyodo, it means do both of them. The ways of
both
ways of them, yes. So
okay.
If you're very available and very, how do you say, high fixed on both of two ways.
Right. Okay, so it's saying it's basically talking about training your mind, being an intellectual, learning, writing, and also being a good warrior, training physically. So
I think
it's
so.
So like there's an old expression where they talk about, I don't know where it came from, but they talk about the pen and the sword. The pen obviously being someone being educated with literature, books, and the sword being a good warrior and fighter. So you need both to be a good being. But of course, Kano Sensei, inspired by Herbert Spencer, talking about also you need to be moral. It's not just about reading books and being educated and being a good judoka, but also you have to be moral. So that's a little bit of how judo went a little bit more above the saying that you just talked about. So that's one thing. And also I really like about Shodo, and now knowing a little bit more about it, it's not like the traditional way of practicing some Budo. Like for example, Kyudo, the way you do the kata, it should look the same. Not everyone has their own expression like we do in Judo. In Iaido, when you do the kata, it should look the same. But in Judo, it gives you the freedom to have your own expression. And apparently Shodo as well. So can you talk a little bit more about that? So I do think that they are related in this particular sense. They're traditional, but at the same time, they're giving you the freedom to express in your own way.
In your own way. What's your question? Sorry again.
No, I mean, Iaido and Kyudo, they say like, do this like this. Kind of like Nage no kata, you have to do it in this way, almost like a machine. But in Randori and Nagekomi, Judo gives you the freedom to express yourself, your own way, your own choice of techniques. And Shodo, it's the same. Even though we repeat the same kanjis, for example,
yes,
you're trying to find your own expression at the same time.
That's exactly right. But actually, Kyudo, the arrow, and what did you say more?
Iaido.
Iaido. Those are also the way to practice for the practical fighting situations. Just they didn't want to hurt each other. That's why they didn't just fight in practical way. For example, I'm talking about the Iaido, because they are practicing with a real sword, which can really cut even only with the slicing touch.
Yes.
So yeah, so they are actually practicing for the practical situations and really emergency situations, but they just according to the kata, as we already used to it with kata.
Yes.
They're also practicing that way. But in judo we have I almost said fortunately, but I really like randori. So randori is the characteristic way to practice in budo groups, right? I guess so.
Okay.
And kendo. And Shodo also, we don't have in Shodo. I guess there is no any randori categorized things. But
is there competition in Shodo, for example, who makes the best kanji? Okay, so you are training to have something that the other one does not have, also, you know, your knowledge of the basics should look better than the other
Yes.
person.
Yes, it's on expressing yourself and look being valued by
Right.
referees. How am I good at the basic moves with Shodo?
Okay.
So they're watching just basic my knowledge and the expressing ability.
But for example, in Iaido and Kyudo, there is a competition. For example, both do the same kata in Iaido, but they're like, who does it how to explain this? Who does it better, but not who's putting like their own unique expression. For example, you can do uchimata, you know, like a spinning mawari uchimata, and I can do just regular oikomi. And people will say this is better or this is better, but in Iaido, the kata is the kata. It's if I'm doing nage no kata, like I'm the one who does it. The one who does it the most polished wins. It's not the one who has the personal expression wins. You don't understand? But in Shodo, it's like judo. It's everyone has their own expression, but the basics we should all learn them. So, should you agree or no?
I agree, but it's hard. Also, it's hard to compare it. Compare them, both of them, right? Like the discipline which has the.
No, what I'm trying to say is they both have competition, Iaido, Shodo, and Judo, but they're judged differently. But in Judo, okay, there's the Ippon. Of course, you want to win, but you create the Ippon throw by creating your own expression, like your own tactics, your strategy. It will look maybe very beautiful, like Inoue Uchimata. In Shodo as well, like you create these big murals, not only just little kanjis. But in Iaido, it's judged differently. The one who does the kata the most polished wins. It's not that you have to think creatively and a strategy of doing kata. It's kata. It's form. So Judo and Shodo are far more similar than Iaido. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's you have about this kind of perspective. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Finally. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a question. If someone does any martial art, boxing, karate, Muay Thai, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, learning or training Shodo, practicing Shodo, how will it help them?
About the concentration, because repeating all the time for 2 or 3 hours, if you practice even for one sentence, it makes really it takes really time, and if you are not convinced with the one art, I guess you really are convinced because you are also a pain artist. So if you're not convinced, you have to just throw it away and making another one, making another art. Yes. The calligraphy is also the same. Uchimata is also the same. If you are not convinced with your own art, you're gonna try it again. So it's all about concentration. If you don't have enough concentration, you're gonna be done, right? You're gonna just give it up, and okay, it could be like that, and you're gonna sell it.